When audiences first met Princess Leia in A New Hope, she appeared fearless, even while being held captive on the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star. But what really happened to her behind those cold steel doors has long remained a mystery. Her strength never wavered on screen, but in the shadows, Darth Vader had already begun his ruthless interrogation. And the horrors she endured weren't just implied, they were made explicit in canon. In this video, we're going to explore the full, harrowing story of what Darth Vader did to Leia while she was imprisoned on the Death Star. Everything that happened off-screen, straight from the canon book A New Hope, The Princess, the Scoundrel, and the Farm Boy. After being captured over Tatooine, Leia was transferred from the Devastator to the Death Star. As she disembarked the shuttle, she kept her eyes wide open, memorizing every hallway, every turn, every stormtrooper she passed. She counted her steps, noted her path, and made mental maps of possible escape routes. Even in chains, Leia was thinking like a soldier. She was escorted to the detention block by 8 stormtroopers, a number chosen by Vader himself. To Leia, it was almost insulting. Not because she wasn't dangerous, but because Vader clearly saw her as a threat. That meant she was doing something right. When she entered the detention block, the guards were startled. They immediately recognized her, not just as a prisoner, but as a known figure, as someone who had consistently been a thorn in the Empire's side. But all of that didn't matter now. Her rank, her identity, none of it could shield her. She was no longer a senator, no longer a princess. In the Empire's eyes, she wasn't even a person anymore, just a number. Prisoner 2187. Leia was thrown into a cell with no ceremony. Her binders were removed, but the message was clear: she wasn't going anywhere. She took in her surroundings, a cold, sterile room with a small metal cot and barely enough space to stretch her legs. But her mind stayed sharp. She searched the walls and floor for panels or vents, anything that could serve as a means of escape or a weapon. That's when she noticed the ceiling vent, just wide enough for her head. It wasn't much, but it was something. A detail to file away in case an opportunity ever presented itself. But any thoughts of escape were interrupted by the sound of the cell door hissing open. Vader had arrived, not just to command, not just to observe. He came in person, to interrogate her himself. Leia sat still on her cot, refusing to show fear. Vader entered the cell like a shadow come to life, his breathing the only sound, deep and mechanical. 2 security officers stood by his side, silent and imposing. Without a word, an interrogation droid floated into the room behind him. Leia had heard of these things. Illegal across most of the galaxy, they were used only by the Empire, and only when someone needed to be broken. The droid released a sharp, high-pitched sound, like static, like a scream that never stopped. Silver arms extended from its body, ending in syringes, saws, and cruel instruments. One syringe in particular, filled with a glowing fluid, caught Leia's attention. She recognized it immediately. Truth serum. Vader gave her one last chance. He asked her where the rebels were hiding, where the stolen plans had been taken. But Leia didn't answer. Not with fear, not with submission. She stood her ground. So Vader gave the order. The needle plunged into her arm and the serum coursed through her veins. It hit fast, like fire and ice crashing together in her bloodstream. Her muscles locked up, then released. Her mind clouded over, not with sleep, but with pressure, suffocating and disorienting. The walls around her twisted. She could feel her memories being stirred up, manipulated, pulled toward the surface. But she fought it. She remembered her training. Not just the physical conditioning, but the mental preparation. Her instructors had taught her how to resist. If she couldn't lie, she could mislead. If she couldn't stay silent, she could speak in riddles. The voices around her pressed harder, demanding answers, demanding locations, demanding the names of rebel leaders. But Leia said nothing they could use. Each time, she drew on the memory of her father, of her duty, of her people. She held onto her identity even as the drug tried to erase it. She collapsed against the wall, dizzy, her heartbeat roaring in her ears. But still, she didn't break. What followed wasn't just physical. Vader changed tactics. He let the drug weaken her defenses, then tried to manipulate her emotions. He spoke softly, dangerously, pretending to show care, suggesting that her father wanted her to cooperate, that if she revealed the rebels' plans, the pain would stop, that he wanted her to come home. Leia could barely tell what was real. The cells spun around her, her memories distorted, her thoughts blurred. But one thing remained clear: she could not break. She heard voices, some real, some not, all of them drilling questions into her. She lost track of time. Was it hours, a day, longer? Every time the pressure lifted, it came crashing down again. Eventually, her training took over. When the voice asked where the rebels were hiding, she gave vague answers, partial truths, things that sounded helpful but revealed nothing. She disconnected her mind from her body and slipped into a place where Vader's words couldn't reach. By the time Vader left, she was barely conscious, but she was still herself. Still Leia, still a princess of Alderaan, still a rebel. She had survived the worst the Empire could throw at her. When she awoke again, time had lost all meaning. Her stomach ached, her mind still foggy, but her spirit hadn't been broken. And when Vader returned to take her from the cell once more, she didn't tremble. She stood tall. He took her to the Death Star's control room, not to free her, but to show her what would happen if she didn't give up the rebels. The target was Alderaan, her home, a warning, a punishment. And even then, as the Death Star's super laser powered up, Leia gave them false information. A fake location, one last deception to protect the people she loved. The torture Princess Leia endured on the Death Star was more than just physical pain. It was psychological warfare. Vader used everything, drugs, threats, manipulation, to try to break her. But he failed. Through it all, Leia resisted. Not just with stubbornness, but with strategy, with resilience, with hope. This is the full canon story of what Darth Vader did to Princess Leia off-screen, and it shows that true strength isn't about power or fear, it's about the courage to endure, to resist, and to never stop fighting for what's right. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and as always, may the Force be with you.